Hi, it's Glow, and welcome to another Dating in the Wild. Today is going to be a retelling of someone else's dating story. We recently had a guest here from New York, and I was telling her about my Dating in the Wild series, and she said, "Oh, I actually have a story. It's how I met the guy that I'm currently dating." And I was like, "Oh, great. Can I interview you? Can I share your story?" And she did not want to be interviewed on camera. I totally understand that. There does need to be a little bit of anonymity because she dates a coworker. So my question to my audience today is, would you ever date a coworker? I think it really depends on your company, how small or how large it might be, and also what their policies are on that, because the company that they work for is rather large and their HR department has a really good policy in regards to coworkers dating. So I'll get into that in just a little bit. But we're going to call her Demi, not because of Demi Moore or Demi Lovato, anything like that, but her vitality, her looks a little bit kind of reminded me a little bit of Demi Lovato. And she told me that she started with this company about last fall, I think it was, somewhere in like August, September timeframe. And one of the things that this large company does is they provide you with a buddy. During your onboarding process, during your orientation, you're assigned someone else in the company who is, kind of in the same department as you, and they show you around and things like that, and essentially kind of show you the ropes of the company. It's either they're in the same department or they're not in the same department, and the company has specific guidelines regarding that and in connecting your buddy to that. But it is usually someone who's been with the company for a few years, and so they welcome you, this newbie, into the company. So at the same time she was going through this process, there was someone else who was also going through their orientation and their buddy process. And she told me that she reconnected with that person at the end of that first week or whatever, and said, "Hey, we're going to call him Steve." I don't know what his name was. She didn't refer to him, but she said, "Hey, Steve, how is your buddy? I'm getting along with my buddy. Like, my buddy's really cool." And Steve was like, "No, I don't like my buddy. He's too bro-y." I don't really know what that means. Everyone has their own kind of judgment or description of what bro-y might be. But Steve was like, "No, my buddy's not someone I would hang out with. He's too bro-y. He's this, that, and the other," I guess, whatever his judgments were. So Demi was like, "Oh, okay." Well, not long after, she actually gets to meet Steve's buddy. And in getting to know him, she was like, he's not bro-y. He's not bro-y at all. But she didn't even think about dating him. Physically, she was like, "No, he's not someone like I'm attracted to." Yeah, she told me that right off the bat in meeting him, he was not someone that she was like physically like, "Ooh, you're really hot. I want to jump on that." No, she did not even have that kind of feeling towards him. But they did start hanging out. There was a Halloween party soon after, and they ended up going to the same Halloween party, or she invited him to a Halloween party. There was another event in which they got to hang out. I think it was something work related, and they were going home on the same train line. And during that time, like everyone in New York rides the subway, and it just so happened that they were riding in the same direction together after this, work happy hour or whatever that event was. And, she learned about him, she thought, no, he's totally not broy. Turns out they enjoyed the same kind of music, and I think that's why she invited him to the Halloween party, and they hung out during the Halloween party, etc., etc. So it goes on that there are a couple more instances where they got to hang out, and Demi was really starting to like this buddy, and not her original buddy, but her coworker buddy. And it was, I think she said something like in January, they went on a work conference. And I do remember this. This was early January. They came out to LA for a work conference. There was a big conference in the Las Vegas Convention Center. And I happened to be working that event, so I knew she was in town. She was hanging out with me and my roommates. And it turned out that obviously she'd been hanging out with this guy for a while. She messaged some of her coworkers during this conference, and it was that he was staying in the hotel across the street from her. I did question that. I said, the company didn't put you guys all in the same hotel? No, it was a huge conference, and the company kind of, not even strategically, I think it was completely random, booked all the different employees at just various hotels around downtown. She said a couple of her other coworkers were like half a mile away, maybe a couple blocks away, but he was literally at a hotel across the street from her hotel. And in arriving right before the conference, she was like, hey, who's here? Hey, where is everyone staying? He had arrived probably, around the same time she did, and was across the street. So they ended up meeting up, going to get a meal, and then for the next 4 days during this conference, they were together like all the time, walking over to the conference center together, and then sitting through the meetings together and all that fun stuff, even the stuff after. She basically hung out with this guy for like 4 days straight and realized there's a connection here. Like, this is really cool. We get along. We enjoy a lot of the same things. And like, he had basically kind of really grown on her. After the conference, though, going back to New York, reality kind of sets in, and she's like, well, we did have a few more opportunities to hang out again. She really felt like she liked him. And I forget where the turning point was. I think there was some kind of event that happened in March in which they both got the opportunity to sit down and talk about the fact that they were really starting to have feelings for one another. And man, they had that adult conversation where you just sit down and you talk about, I really like you. Yeah, I really like you. Why are we dating? What is this? Like, what is this? I asked her, had they gotten intimate at this point? And yes, at some point in that March time frame, during one of those instances of them realizing, like, I really like you, they got intimate. And, it's like, well, what is this now, right? Are we dating? Are we boyfriend and girlfriend? Are we just, having fun? But we're also coworkers. Luckily, they were not in the same department, because again, the buddy that you got assigned to was, I think, in the same department, but then other employees, right? The other new person was not in the same department as her. I forget those details. I'm so sorry. But because they didn't work in the same department, that was good news. They decided to really go to the company, go to HR, and bring this up, the fact that they were in fact dating one another. And the stipulations are that they are not to ever work in the same department. Fine, already there. They already are in two separate departments. And the other stipulation is that one can never be in a managerial position above the other one, which, because you're in the same department, that may occur, but because they were in two separate departments, less likely to occur. And so They agreed to that. They had to sign paperwork with the company, things that were just basically like, this relationship is not going to affect their performance. Totally get that. And I think if your company has policies in regards to dating your coworker, great. Like, those should be in place no matter how small or large your firm is. And I mean, just look at The Office. That's such a great show, but also a prime example of coworkers who date, and then what happens when they don't, or what happens when they date someone else within the same company. It can get really tricky. So hopefully your company has some regards to that matter. Even if you are independent contractors, and there's a lot of people in that circumstance. Prime example, realtors. Realtors who date other realtors, are they under the same brokerage firm? Is that going to get in their way? It totally works if you're like a husband and wife team already and you came in as a package deal. But sometimes, even that is going to be a little tricky. So always have some of these stipulations kind of laid out, the boundaries, the ground rules. Those should all kind of be there regardless of where you work or what type of organization you're with. So, end of the story, she was here recently on this visit. She was telling us, she talks to him every day. They were FaceTiming, and it was during this trip away that, she noticed, she missed him a lot, but luckily they talked every day, and she just is really inspired by him. And then similarly, he's inspired by her kind of, different complementary personality to his. So yeah, he was very structured based on what she described. He was a very structured kind of person, whereas she's more like carefree and free-spirited. So interesting combination there. But they are still dating now, and of course it is a healthy adult relationship. They're talking about things. They've even talked about things that are going to happen in the future, because one of them has plans for traveling towards the end of the year and being away for like a while. And this was something that was already in place before they started dating. So with that in mind, they had to really sit down and have an adult conversation about the expectations of their relationship and what that future might look like for them because of the impending plans, right? And, just have that conversation about the possibilities. Don't be like, oh, it's not going to work because you're leaving. We just never know. You just don't know unless you really have a conversation about it and discuss expectations, discuss possibilities of what could happen. Who knows? So I'm excited for Demi. Congratulations to her. And again, dating a coworker. Totally possible. Totally dating in the wild. She said shortly after that January trip here, she actually, I think it was before the January trip, she had already gotten off like dating apps. So, she tried that, was like, no, I don't really need it now. I have someone that I really enjoy hanging out with. So yeah. Ideas, suggestions. Is there someone that you work with that you might perhaps want to ask out? What's stopping you? Is it the company? Is it you? Is it, don't get in your own way. Maybe ask for those things from the company first before asking that person out. Because maybe your company has a strict policy of like absolutely no dating anyone within the company, regardless of department or what have you. Because, it might be a small one. What's that show? That show I'm talking about, the restaurant. Those people in the restaurant group dating each other. I mean, talk about drama and talk about reality shows. Is it really reality? No, it's semi-scripted, carefully curated, and expertly edited to seem like there's a lot of drama. But, it is a work environment that they're in. So think about that and how that plays into perhaps your life. Would you want that? I don't know. Another dating idea from Glow. All right. Hope you enjoyed that retelling. I know it's terrible. I should have just wrote some notes down when she was telling me. But then I was like, wow, what a great story. And then I was like, oh, do you want to be interviewed? And she was like, no, I gotta go. And literally she had to fly out the next morning. So we did not have that opportunity, and I apologize for that. Well, if you have any questions or if you have a story of your own for dating in the wild, please share it with me, and I'd love to perhaps interview you or retell that story. Thanks for listening. Bye.